Good evening. Calling to order the Concord Township Board of Trustees meeting for October 19th, 2022. Would you all please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. Mr. Rose, can you please call roll?
Thank you. Mr. McIntosh.
Present.
Mr. Dondorfer.
Present.
Mrs. Lucci.
Present. So we have some guests this evening that we would like to have you come to the podium and give your presentation. The first is Aaliyah Barajas from the Lake County Council on Aging. Hi, Aaliyah.
Thank you. Hi. My name is Aaliyah. I'm actually with the Commissioner's Office, but I'm here to talk today about the Senior Services Levy, which Council on Aging does receive a significant portion of that levy. So it is issue 5 on the November ballot. We've had this levy since 1992, and it comes up for renewal every 5 years. So we are just asking voters to support the levy. Currently, the levy provides $4.5 million to senior services throughout Lake County. The issue on the ballot is a renewal. It is not a tax increase. Some of the services that are funded by the levy include home delivered and congregate meals, home maintenance projects, case management services, homemaker services, adult protective services, the volunteer guardian program, operations at 9 area senior centers, and also a non-medical in-home care program. It's just the population right now is about 27% 60 and over in Lake County, and that will continue to grow till 2030 when it'll hit about 30%, and seniors will actually outnumber youth 21 years of age and younger here in Lake County. So it's critical that we can continue to support the senior services here in Lake County. State and federal funding has not kept pace. We're very fortunate in this county to have funding for senior services. So we just want to preserve that. So that's all I came to talk about today.
All right, wonderful.
Thank you very
very
much.
much. Next, we have Mr. Gary Platko from the Riverside School Board with a financial overview.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I have some slides for everyone. I printed hard copies too, in case you can't see the screen up there. So.
Thanks. Brian, you can probably put a slideshow up.
Thanks.
Clicker's on the shelf, right? It's just that left and right button.
All right. So my name's Gary Placko. I'm the treasurer and chief financial officer for the Riverside School District. I've been there since 2016. Here tonight because our board wanted me to get out to different townships and villages that make up the Riverside School District, kind of provide some financial information to each community and kind of just go over some other highlights that are going on at Riverside, just to provide information and just keep an open line of communication between the entities. For financial information, this first slide up here is just kind of showing what our revenues are at Riverside for the general fund. Our total revenue for fiscal year ending June 30th of 2022 is about $51.5 million. About 58% of that is made up of general property taxes. That's basically your residential and commercial taxes. And then an additional 6% of that is public utility taxes. The green pie slide on the left-hand side is unrestricted grants and aid. That's basically our funding from the state of Ohio. That makes up about 14% of our revenue in unrestricted, so it's basically not designated to be spent on certain things. And about 1% of it is restricted for certain purposes like student wellness and success funds, career tech funding, and other things. Towards the top left, property tax allocation, that's what the state calls it. It's actually your homestead and rollback reimbursement from the state. That makes about 7% of our revenue. And then all other revenues, about 9%. That includes interest revenue, classroom fees, pay to participate fees, and also revenue from the joint financing district levy that we have between Riverside, Painesville City, Madison, and Perry. The next slide, since property taxes makes up the largest portion of our revenue, I thought it was just important to kind of show a summary of the levies that are currently in effect. Won't go too much detail in it, but we have basically 4.8 mils of inside millage, that's your unvoted millage, and then several other current expense levies and a substitute levy that brings our total general fund effective millage to 26.81 mils. That's for residential taxpayers. We also have a permanent improvement levy that's used for permanent improvements for the district, and then the outstanding debt levy from when we built Parkside and Riverview, for a total millage of 30.14. If you compare Riverside's millage to their school districts in Lake County, Riverside's the third lowest tax rate for a school district. Perry's obviously the lowest. They have the power plant, so they're at the 20 mil floor. They can't go any lower than 20 mils. And then Madison's at 28.34. Historically, Riverside and Madison are usually pretty close to each other. It kind of depends on who passes the last operating levy. On the expenditure side, Riverside's general fund expenditures totaled $47.2 million for fiscal year 22. If you were to take this pie chart and do one for pretty much every school district in the state of Ohio, they'd all look almost identical. They're pretty similar. Salary and benefits generally make up 75 to 80% of the general fund budget. And then with purchase services and supplies makes up most of the remaining portion of our expenditures. The state of Ohio releases a report called the CUP report, and then one of the figures that they present on there is expenditure per pupil, and Riverside has the second lowest expenditure per pupil in the state, or in the county, excuse me, at $11,066 per student on average. Madison is the only one that's lower than us in Lake County, with the state average is $13,386. So it's kind of showing where we fall, and we try to spend wisely with our dollars that we have. We are audited every year by the Auditor State's Office, and we received the Auditor State Award for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2021. That would be the 7th consecutive year that we've received that award. We're currently under audit for fiscal year ending June 30th of 2022. Typically, they wrapped it up sometime between December and March of next year. And as of now, we don't anticipate any issues, so we're hoping to continue that streak going. Just some other transparency type of things I wanted to show. We implemented a system called Board Docs. So that's where we house all of our board agendas. We started that in 2017, but we also uploaded historical information going back to 2013, so you can pretty much find a decade of board agendas and approvals on our website through Board Docs. We also participate in the Ohio Checkbook, and there's actually a typo. You can get data going back to 2018. They only show 5 years, and it drops off on the Ohio Checkbook website. And on the Treasurer page, on the Riverside website, I have the link up there. We'll have posted up there our current 5-year forecast and assumptions. So the district has to do a 5-year forecast update twice per year and file it with the Ohio Department of Education. So that normally happens in November and May of each year. So we keep the most up-to-date one on our website. Don't really have any slides on our forecast, but we're in a good financial shape. We don't anticipate any operating levies or any time in the next several years. We're doing really well right now. Also have some of the property tax information. Tax rates are posted on there, along with our public records policy, our record retention schedule, the link to an auditor state fraud page, the Ohio checkbook. We also keep our monthly financial reports that the board approves each month. We keep the current year and 2 previous years on the website. You can view the monthly reports there, along with our audited financial statements and auditor state awards. We also received the STARS award, the 4 stars, the highest achievement, just for having open and transparent government. providing information to the community, responding to records requests appropriately, and all the items that they look at that. Second consecutive year for that award. It just came out in 2020. So we have the award for 2020 and 2021. In early 2022, the district finalized a new strategic plan that focuses on 4 main areas. These include the safety, climate, and wellness, which is making Riverside a safe, healthy, and happy place to work and learn through the development of healthy organizational habits. The second item is advocacy, partnerships, and engagement, and that's basically engaging the community through communication, advocacy, and developing purposeful partnerships with businesses and alumni. We're also focused on fiscal sensibility to maximize return on investment for all of our funding sources, seeking new revenue streams for facilities plan implementation, improving physical safety measures, and this financially supporting district priorities and strategies. And then lastly, teaching and learning, which is what we do. This is expanding program options and delivery to meet needs of each student and grow teacher capacity and efficacy. So that's kind of an important focus because we've really been focusing on safety in recent months. So some of our safety improvements that we've done this year is we added a second district-wide school resource officer. So in the past, we'd had one school resource officer that basically go around through various buildings of the district. We now have 2 on board. And then we also have a full-time school safety officer in each school that we're committing to. We've typically had one in Riverside campus and one at Lamouth, usually at the front door to check people in. We're expanding that to the elementary schools. So we have Karen Sweet at the Riverside campus, Michael Bruning at Lamouth. Buckeye Elementary School, we have Chris Collins. He started on September 6th. If that name sounds familiar, he's retired police chief from Willoughby Hills. And then at Melridge Elementary School, Mark Rich, he started just this past Monday on October 17th. For Parkside and Riverview, we're still working on recruiting. The sheriff's office is helping us do that, and they're just making sure they find the right candidates. So if you know anybody who's in law enforcement that's retired that wants to come work for Riverside at one of our schools, let us know. We can forward them to the sheriff's office, and they'll be vetted and see if they are appropriate for that position. And this is the picture of our officers that currently that make up our safety team at Riverside. We also did, the sheriff's office also did what's called ALICE training, which stands for Alert, Lockdown, Inform, Counter, and Evacuate, to prepare our staff if there was an incident in our school. Pretty much everybody in the district went to this training, even from the treasurer's office, custodians, maintenance, teachers, bus drivers had their own special training for buses, and just kind of preparing if there was ever an incident at Riverside. And you may have heard in recent news a couple months ago, the Ohio K-12 Safety Grant Program, the state awarded Riverside $200,000 for safety improvements. So basically $50,000 per building for Buckeye, Melridge, Lamouth, and the Riverside campus. Parkside and Riverview were not eligible because they were OFCC projects done in the last 5 years, but all of our other schools each got $50,000 per building, and we submitted an application for an additional $200,000, which is $50,000 more per building. We plan on using those funds to replace our front entryways and install like a secure vestibule like we have at Parkside and Riverview, just a more secure entry that's upgraded security features, and ensuring that people there's 2 sets of doors to go through, and that we're vetting people before they actually make it into the building. For facility improvements, obviously, we had the bond issue on the ballot this past May that did not pass. We currently under contract with an owner's representative, NV5. We signed a limited scope agreement with them. They're working on gathering feedback from the board, administration, teachers union, and others, just to kind of get all that feedback to kind of understand where we're going to move going forward. We have some funds set aside for improvements, but it's kind of deciding to what scale and what degree we do that going forward. At this time, we're just kind of looking to have 1 or more recommendations by February of 2023 of how we're going to move forward with our facility improvements. And then my last slide here is to talk just slightly a little bit about our district report card, which is a little outside of my expertise. Dr. Kalis presented our report card results at our last board meeting, so you can welcome to kind of see the detail of that. But wanted to just kind of point out that Parkside here in Concord Township was the only elementary school in Lake County that received 5 in all eligible categories on the report card. So they got a perfect report card. Only elementary school in Lake County that was able to do that.
Nice.
So we're looking to see what they're doing over there and expand that to some of our other buildings that may not have achieved all those scores like that. So that's kind of all I had for tonight. If anybody had any questions or concerns about anything, I can try to address those.
Great, that was a great
Nice
overview.
presentation.
Yes.
Nice overview.
Yeah,
Very well.
congratulations on a lot of those
Thank you.
accolades. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
If you want to sneak out, now's a really
Yeah.
good time.
I was just gonna offer, yeah.
Thank you.
Sure, thanks for being here, Leah. Take care.
Thanks, Leah. Yep, just leave them right here on that table and I'll make sure they get distributed. Thank you.
so much. Okay, so we're moving on to the approval of minutes.
Go ahead. Madam Chair, I move to approve the October 5th, 2022 public minutes from the public hearing.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Madam Chair, I will make a motion to approve the October 5th, 2022 regular trustees meeting minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the October 13th, 2022 special meeting minutes.
And I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next is the elected official reports. Mr. Rose is going to give the fiscal officer report.
Thank you, Mrs. Lucci, members of the board, members of the audience. As of September 30th, we were 75% of the way through the calendar year. It's going fast. The treasury balance for the 21 active funds within the township treasury was $16.8 million. The treasury balance includes $9.7 million in funds that are set aside for specific projects. Year-to-date expenditures were 42% of the amount appropriated for 2022. Revenue received year-to-date is at 94%, which includes receipt of the second half of our real estate taxes. Real estate tax revenue will not be received again until late February 2023 when we get our next advance. And the revenue also includes $958,000 in American Rescue Plan Act money that will need to be spent by 2024, and this money is very restricted in its use. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to call the fiscal office at 440-354-7516. That concludes the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rose.
Certainly.
Moving on to trustees, Mr. Dondorfer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just had a couple calls from a couple residents since our last meeting. One resident had some concerns about or had some questions regarding the commercial development in the Capital Route 44 area, what was going in there. He had some basic questions that I answered for him, as well as some zoning questions. He also had some concerns about some frequent power outages he's experienced over on Timber Lane, so we'll reach out to our partners at First Energy, see if they can research some of that. I'll get with Mr. Rose, but that call came in today. I had a call from a resident over at Little Mountain Estates that was very complimentary on the fire department's response. They had fire alarms that went off in the residence and some smoke from an unrelated heating issue, I think, that the fire department resolved. They were very complimentary on their prompt response and their professionalism there, so that's always good to hear. Wanted to thank Mr. Rose and Heather Freeman for helping to facilitate the meeting between one of our developers and some residents that had some concerns regarding the proposed development, and hopefully, addressing some issues that the residents needed to address with the developer. So appreciate them doing that. I want to congratulate Dan Maxon, longtime volunteer in Concord Township resident. Looks like he's being acknowledged for winning the Medical Mutual of Ohio Senior Volunteer Award. And we all know Dan very well. He's been great for Concord Township. He's done a lot. He's a Concord resident. I worked with him a lot at the Lake Metro Parks. He's great there, and he just does a lot to make the community better. So congratulations to him. I know that's a well-deserved honor. I know we're meeting next week, the LCTA and the commissioners on our police initiative. So we'll be working on that in the future in regards to our first meeting. So that's all I have.
All right, thank you. Mr.
Thank you,
McIntosh.
Yes, I'd also like to pass on my congratulations to Dan. I mean, he does a fantastic job. We've had a lot of stuff, a lot of events and activities this year, being the bicentennial. I know he did the tour around the township, and listen to him talk about this stuff. He's very passionate about it, and he really puts a lot into it. So very well deserved award. Yep, I've been getting ready for the LCTA meeting conversation regarding law enforcement in Concord. Obviously made some changes to the program last year with the Sheriff's Department, looking to have ongoing dialogue about just making sure we stay on top of that, and I think it's an important topic. Do appreciate the fact that one of our developers did kind of come in and meet with the community about concerns, and it's so often that, being on the zoning board or as a trustee, you hear people complain about developers, and they always. But it's always rewarding, I think, when they take the time to come and meet with people and try to address concerns, and it doesn't often get attention. So I appreciate that they take the time to do that. It always makes development of our growing community better, and that's the end of my report.
Okay, thank you. So pretty much the same thing. Mr. Maxon, we congratulate him on his outstanding award. To volunteer that much time and support the community that you live in we're very gracious for it. And he still is going to be doing a lot for Concord, so we look forward to that. I did want to thank Service for treating our roads the last 2 nights. Sort of unbelievable, but maybe we'll have a little reprieve, so hopefully the winter isn't too bad. Other than that, thank you, yes, Mr. Rose and Heather, for hosting our developers with the community. I thought that went very well. And last, I just want to wish everyone a great Halloween weekend. We look forward to the Halloween event that we have coming up next Saturday. And with that, we will move on.
Thank you, Mrs. Lucci, members of the board, members of the audience. I'll start with a few items that are on the agenda. Item A is a vote for a purchase order in an amount not to exceed $6,000. These are for installing 2 flock cameras in the township. And these are great law enforcement tools, and they've been used with great success in Lake County already, and I'm glad to see we're going to put 2 of these in the township. Item B is for the trustees to set a public hearing based on the petition of a landowner to join the JED. This landowner owns 2 parcels. I am recommending that you set the hearing for 7:15 p.m. on December 7th, 2022, prior to the first meeting in December. That fully satisfies the 30-day notice requirement on the way the calendar falls. Other items, on October 7th of 2022, I accepted on behalf of the trustees a resignation letter from part-time firefighter Kevin Bruning. We thank Kevin. He was here for 12 years, so we thank him for his service to Concord Township, and we wish him well in his future endeavors. Speaking of our service department has coordinated a fall yard waste pickup for all of our residents. The curbside yard waste pickup will take place on November 28th. It starts at 6 a.m. So all residents are advised to have their biodegradable yard waste bags out to the curb by 6 a.m. on the 28th. This is a one-time pickup. If the yard waste, if major waste doesn't get to every house, every street because of darkness or quantity, they will finish on the 29th, but they're not going to double back on the street on the 29th. It's a one-time shot. So there are no second trips for any street. In addition, the yard waste drop-off that's conducted at the service department which has been quite popular this season. That closes on November 28th at 2:30, so that's closing as well. And then if anybody has any questions, please contact our service department. They'll be happy to answer your questions, and we're also posting information on the website for that. Can you pull up my picture? And as has been tradition all year, we've got the bicentennial picture for the meeting. The picture on the left is the infamous or famous oak tree that stood on Town Hall property. That tree was removed due to disease and death in 2008. When that tree was carefully removed, it was estimated, the arborist estimated that tree at approximately 350 years old. So that tree's seen a lot. But one of the smart things they did was the trustees and staff, they took that wood and they carefully cut down the tree into large sections and they took it to a sawmill. And they had oak boards made out of the trunk of the tree. And the second picture is Dick Terriaco, who's our former fire chief. And he is standing in between two desks that look exactly like the ones that the law director and I are sitting at right now. Dick Terriaco put his woodworking skills to good use, and he took some of the wood from that tree and he made 4 identical matching desks, which are all here in Town Hall, and there's little plaques on them. And then he also made the lectern that residents and guests and different folks come up and speak at. So there's also some furniture that he made that's on display at Old Stone School. So the next time you're at Old Stone School, Dan Maxon will be happy to point out those pieces that were made with the old oak tree wood. So that's kind of neat, and it's a beautiful piece of furniture, as all 4 of them are. And I also look forward to seeing everybody at the Spooktacular on the 29th. That concludes my report. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Rose. It's nice to see everything come full circle.
It
The
is.
trees and the furniture. So that moves us to the audience portion. Anybody here that would like to
I would like
address?
to Madam.
Sure. Just say your name
Hi,
and your address,
my name
please.
is Larry Vanderhorst, and I live at the corner of Prouty and 84. Okay, AKA Snoopy House. I was able to thank Carl privately, but I wanted to thank him publicly on all his efforts and time he put in to put the left-hand turn signals on at Morley and Prouty Road. I'm sure a lot of people feel a lot safer making that left-hand turn signal either going north or south. So thank you, Carl. I just wanted to do it publicly.
Well, it was a joint effort. Let me tell you, we were all on board. The rest of the board, Amy and Morgan, and we're all committed to safety, and it was definitely something that needed to be addressed. Over the years, you and I have talked.
Right, you have.
But
we
appreciate
it's been a couple of years.
Yeah.
The pandemic got in the way.
Well, thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Mr. Administrator, Andy, I wanted to ask you, I don't know if you're the right person or not, but is the new fire department, firehouse on budget?
It is. It is still tracking on budget. We have contingency money that's available in case there is a change order. And so it is still tracking along on budget.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Yes, sir.
That's all I have.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
I love the new Snoopy with the Woodstock edition. I think that the new remodel looks fantastic.
Well,
by
we
the
had
way.
to do something.
It looks great.
Because the old house was deteriorating, and as far as we knew, it had been up there from the 70s. So
Well, it looks fantastic.
Yeah,
So
nice
thank
work.
you for that.
it took a life of its own on, I'll tell you.
Thank you.
I think you made the News Herald, didn't you? With the picture?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Television and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tribune,
All right.
Awesome.
like, it took a real life of its own.
Mr. Massey.
Good evening, Brian Massey, 8196 Rainbow Drive. I didn't know that Mr. Platko was here. I don't want to embarrass him, but I'm a big fan of Gary Platko's. He's excellent at his job, and he does a great job of answering any questions. So transparency is really important to me, and he does an outstanding job. So Gary, thank you so much. It just so happens I did some research project on the school, Riverside School. I wanted to answer my question that I had is, how did the COVID impact the proficiency scores, for all of the schools? So I did an extensive research on, by building, by elementary, middle, high school, and the answer was that there was about an 8% drop in proficiency scores for all buildings and all subjects. And if you're interested, I'd be glad to provide you with the detail of that entire report. It was just something that I knew that it had to impact. I just didn't know what the numbers were saying. So if you're interested, I can provide that. I noticed on the new business, the flock cameras. Does this have facial recognition capabilities?
No.
No facial
Not
recognition?
that I'm aware of in that technology. No, all it does is it's real time. The camera system focuses on obtaining vehicles and the registrations as they come through intersections. Mm-hmm. What it does, it goes into a database, and it goes against files from the FBI that are specific to stolen vehicles, registrations that are linked to wanted or persons with wants and warrants. And it also provides a database for law enforcement to investigate after the fact. For an example, if we had a burglary, several burglaries going on in Concord Township, and a witness said, I saw a red SUV leaving the area at about this time, law enforcement can go into the flock system, run that vehicle description, and get images and license plates of vehicles matching that description during that date and time frame. I've used flock personally, and it has nothing to do with facial recognition at all. 70% of crime involves a motor vehicle, so that's what it focuses on. As far as it focuses on the vehicle and the license plate. It's been staggering, some of the not only crime prevention, detection, and apprehension that has increased with the use of this system, but I've never heard of it being used in any facial recognition capacity. Nor do I think it has the capability.
Well, any cameras, with the software, certainly can be adapted. But I'll take it what you're saying.
And most of the images that I've seen on them are rear, because right now, it's not mandatory anymore in Ohio to have a front license plate.
Yeah, so it's rear.
So most of the images are from the rear, and I've never, in any of the pictures I've seen, been able to really see a person in there. You get the vehicle information. A couple of weeks ago, they had a situation where, and it comes up, the flock hit comes up real time to the dispatcher, and they'll get on the air and say, we got a flock hit in the area of 91 in Maple Grove, stolen vehicle out of Cleveland. It's a black Nissan. It's, over at this location. And, anybody that's in the area there, you can get there and determine what's going on.
Okay, thank you very much. The last item, and this was another project that I started based on you going to the commissioners meeting and asking for some help for more patrols by the sheriff's department. And a few years ago, when I attended these meetings, I remember then Trustee Galloway saying that the Township of Concord, their donor community. I didn't really quite understand that, but I certainly understand what he's talking about now when you take a look at the local government funds. Maybe you already know this, but there's probably many people in Concord that do not realize that Concord has been used and abused on this local government fund. It was started in 1982, where they determined, percentages of how to split this money that comes back. Money goes to the state. The state takes their rake, and then they bring it back to the individual counties, and then it is distributed. I do have the report, but I was trying to figure out, well, what would happen if this distribution was based just on population? And if it was based on, population, Concord was shorted from 2010 to 2019. Make sure I get the right number here. $6.4 million. So if we were, if it was distributed based on population, we'd have an extra $6.4 million. Now, this is generally true. There's, of the 23 municipalities or subdivisions, there's 13 winners and there's 10 losers in the way that this money is allocated. Now, I'm told, and Mr. Galloway said that it's quite a political football. Mentor has basically veto power, but when I look at it based on population, Mentor would have received an extra $2 million. So I'm a little confused. I don't understand. Maybe there's some things that I don't understand about it, but when I hear that Mentor would not be in favor of changing the 1982 allocation, I would have to ask a question, why? Because my numbers show, unless somebody corrects me, it shows that Mentor was shorted $2 million also. And it's interesting that when Painesville Township Park in the 10 years got $680,000. Concord got $1,306,000. So they're $680,000 to maintain a park, and we only got $1.3 million. So the reason I bring it up, and I have talked to Andy about it, and I know that somebody is telling me that it's probably got to go before the state legislature, and be that as it may. But I want to continue the dialogue so that the citizens know that we're being shortchanged, and we're helping out Wickliffe, Eastlake, Willoughby Hills. They're all the big, benefactors. And, what could we have done with an extra, $6 million? That would have put some police on the patrols and may have added that fire station that we need. So I mentioned that to you, and I'm going to mention it to the commissioners tomorrow, just to keep the dialogue going, because I think something has to be done. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Massey. Appreciate your concern and your research. Okay, moving on to old business. Seeing there is none, we will move to new business.
Madam Chair, I will make a motion to approve a PO to Flock Group Incorporated for installation and maintenance agreement for 2 Flock cameras not to exceed $6,000.
Second.
Any discussion?
Sure. Well, I think just to expand on what Carl said, or just to fill in and complete Mr. Massey's questions, I think when you look at the growth in Concord, and we've all talked about the crime, and we know nationally that those rates are up, any tool we can have to keep our community safe, and we have a lot of things growing, and we're very aware of it. I think any tool like that's going to support keeping the community safe, I think is a great idea.
Yeah, I would agree. Just to reiterate, this technology is new to law enforcement, but it has been an unbelievable tool as far as crime prevention, detection, and apprehension. I mean, law enforcement agencies across the country, you hear the stories on the news, local, national news, about crime that's either been prevented, or they're apprehending people that are wanted across state lines. The sheriff's department's had great success with it. It brings law enforcement to another level, especially when our populations are increasing. There is more crime. Concord's safe, but we need to take those measures to make sure that we have the tools to combat anything that our community is confronted with. And this technology is a great tool for a very small cost.
Oh yeah, I think when you brought it up and asked us about it, the dollar amount that we'll spend for this is in the month of the subscription is a really wise allocation, I think, to get some extra protection in our community.
Right.
And I think we mentioned last time it's not meant for traffic violations, right? It's not going to catch you for speeding or something like that.
No, those files are specifically, like I said to Mr. Massey, stolen vehicles, registrations that are attached to wanted persons, and a tool for law enforcement to use as far as follow-up for, investigations where a vehicle was involved and was in the area, that they could, run those databases and catch those images and hopefully develop leads and resolve a crime.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye. Madam Chair, I make a motion to set hearing petition for the landowner seeking to be included in the Concord Township City of Painesville Joint Economic Development Districts. The JED has been submitted by I9 Group LLC, owner of permanent parcel 08A020B000020, located at Gold Court, and 08A02000004880, located at Crow Road in Concord Township.
I will second.
So we are going with December
We're going to do that in
7th?
a meeting.
at 7:15.
That's my recommendation, Madam Chair, yes.
Does that work for everybody?
So,
Yeah.
Okay. So we vote on that? All in favor of that date?
Yeah.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, moving on to future meetings and announcements. Mr. Rose.
Thank you, Madam Chair. October 28th, Friday at 9 a.m. will be the staff meeting here at Town Hall. October 31st, that's Monday, is Halloween. From 6 to 8 p.m. is the trick-or-treating hours in Concord Township. On November 1st, Tuesday, will be at 7 p.m. will be the Zoning Commission here at Town Hall. And on November 2nd, Wednesday, 6:30 to 7:30 will be trustee office hours at Town Hall in the conference room. And then at 7:30 p.m. will be the trustee meeting here at Town Hall.
All right, thank you, Mr. Rose. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Have a good evening. This concludes our Board of Trustees meeting.
Good evening.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.